Outlander is currently shooting in the Halifax, Nova Scotia area, starring John Hurt and Jim Caviezel as Kanan, a man from another world who crash lands on Earth, bringing with him an alien predator, and must then form an alliance with the ruling Vikings to kill the alien.
Action!
Thanks, Kim. I'm inside the Harrod village of Howard McCain's sci-fi adventure called Outlander.
It is a science fiction action adventure that's kind of set on Earth in the year 900, and it involves a space traveler, a soldier from another galaxy who is chasing a horribly dangerous creature. And the creature gets aboard his ship and causes it to crash land on Earth in the year 900. And when he comes to, he discovers that the only other civilization around is early Nordic Viking civilization, and he has to adapt and survive in that world while still trying to track his enemy and nemesis and protect these people, these human beings that he's just met, from this horrible killing machine.
I always wanted to make a version of Beowulf in high school. I loved the book, and I thought I'll take science fiction and use that as the excuse, because everybody, modern audiences, will accept a monster if it's in that realm, that genre, as a way of getting it into the past and telling the story, and the idea always being that Outlander was the kind of truth behind the legend. If Beowulf was true, this was how it was true. And we even came up with our own little term for it. Kind of like James Cameron has his terms for everything, we came up with our own jargon. We call it sci-mythic.
Jim Caviezel plays Kanan, who's the soldier from outer space. He's a man or a human like me and you, but from another planet. And then there's John Hurt, who plays Hrothgar, who's the king of the Vikings. He's fantastic. And there's a little nod to Alien there, because obviously he was in the first Alien and so fantastic in it. Then there's Jack Huston, who plays the sort of young Viking prince who's slightly cocky and not sure of himself, who him and Jim Caviezel are originally butt heads, and then at the end of the day they sort of learn to like and respect each other. We have Sophia Miles, who plays Freya, who's our Viking princess and a love interest for Jim Caviezel, and she's brilliant. And then we have the incomparable Ron Perlman playing Gunnar, who's sort of the archetypal badass Viking that's initially at odds with Hrothgar and Hrothgar's sort of town and tribe.
Hrothgar! Where are you, you goddamn son of a bitch? Where's my wife? Where's my boy?
Hrothgar, my character, the king. Well, he's followed his brother, who was an incredibly bloodthirsty and headstrong king, as is his son, Wulfric, played by Jack Huston, very impetuous and so on. Hrothgar is of a different kind of understanding. He believes that a king should be servant to his people and not the other way around. And his approach to life is more philosophical, shall we say. It's more understanding. I think, Hrothgar's business in the film, dramatically, is that he will pass off some of his philosophy and his wisdom and so on to the young man before he becomes king.
My name in the movie is called Wulfric, and I'm the young prince of the village. And it's basically an interesting journey of a guy who initially starts out as being the anti-hero, almost like a villain, but throughout the movie you see this great arc where in the end you begin to love Wulfric and understand Wulfric and realise how confused and messed up he's been in his life, and it's a pretty cool character.
Action!
The Morwen creature is an alien from another planet that Jim brings with him, and it must stand about sort of 14 to 16 feet tall on its hind legs, and it's pretty spectacular. If you see the beast, I mean, we're working with X's at the moment, so it's all going to be put in later, but we have seen the model and what the beast is going to look like, and it's great. It's really cool.
This is the very, very first drawing I did about 10 years ago. And what you're seeing there, although it's a rough sketch, a study sketch, we built a maquette based on that drawing. So that's why it's printed out big. We are now doing some full-blown rendered high-hand illustration. They haven't been approved by the studio yet, so I can't really show them to you, but basically this is your creature. If you look at both things, they're quite similar. The neck has been extended. We felt like the head could move very well here, so we extended the neck. The tail has gone quite a bit bigger. The tail is really a tool that the creature is using to fight with. There's an aspect of bioluminescence in the creature. But you see, he walks on 4 legs. He could actually stand up on his 2 rear legs and sort of climb trees and swim. And we try to give him quite a bit of personality in the face. And it's extremely powerful. But that's basically the beast. That's the Morwen.
This is our interpretation of Patrick Totopoulos' design for the Morwen arm. He provided us with a lovely sketch of this three-fingered claw, which we then translated into 3 dimensions and sculpted with textures that are somewhat reminiscent of rhinoceros. We managed to find the right kind of character, the right kind of feel for it, that it has the power and almost the sensuality that this creature has, and then trying to bring out some of the color, which will then be working with the digital people, that they can make luminesce and give the creature that sort of really dark, imposing nature that the story requires. We've long been sort of expecting that digital would take over, but we're finding that doing practical effects, doing live effects, allows you a deal more realism and a more convincing action, that there is something to the texture and the feel of things and being able to manipulate things on set. It has a certain energy to it, and it has a certain immediacy and drama in the delivery. So we find it's still pretty convincing to be doing live effects rather than digital. Most of the digital effects will be involving the creature that is of such a great size, and because of its motion and its luminescence and various other qualities, would make it virtually impossible to animate in live terms. So we're merely concentrating on the human elements, and the digital people will provide that fantastic element that is just a little more than you can reasonably and economically reproduce as live action.
Our creature is it's an animal. It's not a monster. It's only a monster through our point of view. It is a living creature that has its own, biology, its own social structure, its own hierarchy on its planet, its own everything. And because of that, it becomes a character versus just a thing to be feared.
It's very character-driven. That's what's great, because I suppose in some sci-fi movies it becomes all about the sci-fi, it becomes all about that element. But this is driven through the characters, and actually if you did take out the Morwen and the sci-fi element, it does hold up as a movie, and it's just a bonus having that in there, because it just adds another level, which is great. So it's like it's more than just like one big sci-fi movie. It's got all these great elements in it, so that's cool. The audience can expect quite a ride. You're going to get sort of massive battles, lots of blood, great actors, Vikings, ships, fire, all of it. It's going to be a fun ride.